Hey y'all, it's Beth. I have to admit that I learned a lot from this module. This has probably been the most informative module I have yet to read. I had truly no idea how widespread the impact of financial aid and um, I mean budgeting period really for higher education institutions. It really affects not just the institution, but it affects the economics of the region, of the state, and ultimately of the country as a whole. So it's very deep rooted, and it's extremely important not just to the school or the students attending, but it's important to the whole entire area that it affects. So I think that the role of the government in education is kind of to regulate it, and the same goes for the financial aid aspect of education. The government really kind of has a hand in not only allocating funds for scholarships and for Pell Grant or Hope Scholarship or things of that nature, but they also kind of have a hand in creating and regulating different loan agencies such as Sallie Mae or Fed Loan Processing. Um, these loan agencies are truly a necessity, I feel like, because without them, I mean, I understand that there are scholarships. I understand that you can work part time while you're in school. But without them, a lot of times students don't have the option of going to school. Even with loans, even with scholarships, a lot of times it's just barely affordable. So without these loans, it truly isn't affordable. So I feel like the government does a great job in that aspect of providing lower interest rates for student loans that kind of become an extra option or a fallback option in terms of funding, funding your education. So in terms of, I guess, kind of Congress's budget decisions for 2012 and the committee recommendations, I feel like that paved the way for a lot of different implications in terms of the way that higher education is financed now, as well as kind of the cost of it. So the attention became very focused on saving money and reducing the deficit that we were in, which kind of took the focal point off of students and making college accessible and affordable to students. So I think this paved the way for tuition hikes. It paved the way for increased fees. It paved the way for companies like Sallie Mae to really form these partnerships with financial aid offices at the schools. And I mean, they kind of developed into this just mega agency that definitely kind of ran the gamut on financial aid and on getting these loans. Hence the scams that came along with it. So I think it was very important that President Obama kind of came back in 2013 with his proposed budget. He really put a lot of emphasis on financial aid. He allocated more funds towards it. He kind of regulated the funds that it was already getting. And I think probably the most interesting thing to me that he did not only was implement, a little bit more funding for Pell Grant and a little bit more regulation in terms of the loans that were being offered, but he also placed a lot of emphasis on the Race to the Top program, specifically Race to the Top for college completion. So this was an incentive for states who had schools, post-secondary institutions who were trying to make college a little more affordable for students. This was kind of a competitive process for them. They could compete for these incentives. They could compete for funding. And this was a way for states and colleges and universities to kind of try to really make the college process as affordable as possible. And I think that had it not been for President Obama and his emphasis on financial aid and his kind of reasoning behind it, I think that we would not have gotten to the source yet. So I feel like especially post-secondary education, but education in general, is becoming more of a priority for the state and even for the country as a whole, it's becoming more of a priority. I do feel like there's still a lot of work left to be done. I'm grateful for student loans. I'm grateful for scholarships. I feel like those are all great resources for students who do want to attend college. But I still don't feel like taking out $50,000 worth of student loans is necessarily affordable. Again, I'm grateful for the option, but I don't necessarily consider that college being affordable. I think that one thing I have learned throughout the kind of course that we're taking now is that education is definitely an investment. And that's something you have to remember with the economic impact of it as well, is that it's not necessarily going to be an investment that you see an immediate return on. You kind of invest up front, and it may take 4 years, it may take 6 years, it may take 10 years for you to get that investment back, in terms of, students graduating and securing a job and contributing back economically to the society that they're living in and they're working in. That to me is kind of the investment return that you see. And the thing with college is that sometimes that takes a little while. So it's absolutely an investment. I feel like it's becoming a bigger priority, but there's still a little bit of work to be done. And I look forward to the rest of this module. I look forward to the rest of this course. And then I look forward to, in the future, kind of keeping track with the legislation that's being passed and seeing what changes are made in terms of making college a little bit more affordable. I think that we're definitely headed down the right track. Thank you.